So I did my video yesterday, like that TikTok did finally approve. But once they approve it, they shadow ban it, so it doesn't really make any difference. But for those that didn't see that, you may not understand. But I had tied together how the Greek mythology gods literally were the fallen angels. They were, and actually, I was asking AI. And I said, well, because the Romans took on all the Greek gods. They did. They just changed some of their names, but of course, they would have been very enticed into them because these were different waves that came in. So you had these deities, these primordial deities first. Then you had the Titans, which was Kronos. And I'll get to him again in a minute. And then you had the 12 Olympians, all of them being fallen angels, all showing how it was part of the Bible. So this is another picture or painting of Kronos, okay? Obviously, he's the father of time. You can see because he has the hourglass, okay? And clearly, he's a fallen angel, okay? But he actually... he's one of the biggest rebellers. I'm going to tell you a little bit more. But he was the one that rebelled. I mean, it all lines up with the Bible, but it doesn't mention the Bible. It acts like they're the creators. Because the people, so here's the thing. Some of the people like Plato and Socrates, those people were real because I had said that much of our institutions are named. No, it's pretty much the medicine is, though. The medicine, Asclepius was not a real person. Plato was, Socrates was, those people were. But even those people were being influenced and getting their knowledge from these gods, except Plato. It appears from what I read about Plato, he didn't have a whole lot to do with these gods. And there was a lot of them. You know, there was a god for different things, and this is who they worshipped, okay? Now, Kronos actually was over them, reigning over them for a while, and he actually gave them a prosperous life, to be honest, for a while. But of course, these people, or these angels, they wouldn't be stupid, okay? They can't always just be at war with the humans because... well, part of the game is pulling them in, even though you're really entrapping them. But then Zeus ended up coming along, who was part of the 12 Olympians, and they took down the Titans. And really, it's just that fun war, in my opinion, that they're all having with each other, because they're all part of the heavenly host. Because this is Kronos, too. Again, the god of time. He controlled time. And he was also considered Saturn. Just like Uranus, who he castrated, was a fallen god, but he was also considered the sky. Zeus, who came after he overthrew him, Zeus was considered the sky. Okay, so when Jesus said in the Bible, the prince of darkness is the prince of the air, well, he literally meant the air, because they all go back to planet names. They have they're the fallen angels. And so by the time Jesus came, these different deities were already embedded in different religions. So they were still around in spirit form, really. This is Kronos as well. Again, he was a big one. He wasn't after anybody's, he was just eating his own children because he didn't want them to take his throne. So even with the people that came forward and, all your knowledge and from the universities comes from all this stuff. Yeah, it does, but it did all come from fallen gods. It did. They were fallen angels. There was many, many, many of them. They came in different waves. So, it explains totally why God had to come. Why Jesus came. So you don't make all these statues over just a mythical. The thing is it wasn't a real person. This was Kronos. Just like Asclepius wasn't a real person, but he was the god that came down, fallen angel, that gave some wisdom when it came to healing and medicine. And yes, he gave some good wisdom for sure, because just as Kronos kept his people happy for a period of time, they're not stupid, but ultimately they were filled with anger and they were just playing games. And they called this the 5 ages of man. The 5 ages of man. Because it says, some say that even the gods themselves walked among the humans during the reign of Kronos. Undoubtedly, this was the golden age, the most beautiful of the fabled 5 ages of man. These weren't, if these were fables, then that medical symbol that came from this wouldn't have ever been being used, because it's a fable. But it's still a fallen god. However, at some point, Kronos violently and dramatically changed his ways. Fearing rebellion, he imprisoned, I think I read this, the Cyclops and the Hecticons in Tartarus and set the dragoness Campi to guard them. Alarmed by a prophecy saying that he would be overthrown by one of his children, he started swallowing them all one by one. Seeing that her husband has in essence transformed into Uranus after being impregnated with her 6th child, Rhea turned to Gaia for help. Gaia was considered the earth. So that's the other thing that's important that aligns with the Bible, is that some of these phases of angels, they did procreate with the women here. And even the women, some of the fallen women angels, but that usually didn't work out well. The mortal man would end up dead pretty quickly after that. But sometimes that would give the fallen angel a child. But usually it was mostly male fallen angels. And they did go on to create what they didn't call it Nephilim, but the Giganticons, something like that. So they just kept coming and coming and coming. And Kronos didn't die. He was overthrown, but then listen to this. It says, deposed from the throne, Cronus either escaped to modern Lazio or was imprisoned in Tartarus with the rest of the Titans. Either way, he seems to have reverted to his good old ways, since in time he was promoted to be the ruler of the island of the blessed, a heaven-like abode where the souls of only the greatest heroes lived after their earthly deaths. Yeah, doesn't Satan pretty much? Isn't that when your soul and you're not going to heaven, but he's calling it heaven? Well, he can't. This is fallen angels. But again, they have their own creation story. But their creation story is very much the story in the Bible. I mean, even the picture alone for the creation, that's an angel falling, okay? And, you know, they take a seat on one of the stars or the planets, and then they take on those names. But, yeah, they're the hosts in heaven anyway. So it was, again, Kronos begins with the irrational, hate-driven decision of his father Uranus to not allow his children and the Titans to leave their mother's womb. And womb meant the earth. Grief-stricken, so they devised, Gaia, who was a female, she was considered earth, devised a crafty little plan. And they were always devising plans. And they expected to, and the humans thought these were gods. I think everybody would think they are, right? Kronos was the youngest son of Uranus and Gaia, the leader of the first generation of Titans. So see what I mean? There was all these different generations that came, and for a brief period, the ruler of all gods and men. He successfully led the rebellion against his father, but soon grew as tyrannical as him, imprisoning them and swallowing all of his children, saving only the last son. Eventually, this was the child Zeus, would be the one to overthrow him. And all healthcare workers will recognize this. Again, this is the time clock that in every hospital you punch into. And again, Kronos is the god of time. the one I just told you all about.